Hi, Elle Ingalls here. Starting a new show today, episode 1, Through the Pressure-Free Living Lens. Here's what I'm going to do on this show. I'm going to come on as often as I possibly can because there's a lot to cover here. I'm going to identify what I see in the world, in my own life, lives of my clients, in the news, media, wherever, on where I see pressure-free living could be helpful, and just do a little show about it. So today, the thought that I had as I'm walking here through the forest, and I got these great ideas, is that we need to become better at sleuthing out limitations. It's tricky. Honestly, it's insidious. How often we are surrounded by little phrases, little thoughts that are very limiting. I'm going to share one that I noticed right up front when I was in high school. I was just one of those students that just wanted to do it all. So I wanted to do my sports, my music, high level classes. I just wanted to do it all. Even when I got to Michigan, I wanted to do it all. And those of you who knew me then, it was insane what I was doing. So, people said to me, "Oh, you can't be fully in on your music if you're doing sports because you need your weekends to be able to go to youth orchestra, to like all these things, right?" And I just thought about it and said, no, I get to do it all. That doesn't mean I'm going to do every part of all of it, but I'm certainly not going to give up my music, and I'm certainly not going to give up my sports, which were really important to me. And so I would just arrange my schedule. I was in a lot of clubs too. I just kept my calendar. I teach all my clients, my adult clients and my student clients, the power of the calendar. That can help you overcome limitations because there are so many hours in the day. But what are we spending our time doing? Here's we're going to put it through the pressure-free lens. Many of us, and I was just coaching a client this morning, our brains are taken up with all the negative. It's sucking up our time. That's the true limitation. And when you can free yourself of the thoughts and the things that are taking you into a negative space, complaining, blaming, anything that's taking you into a negative space, or thinking over and over and over again about something that's not even what you're presently working on, right? If you can pause, notice that it's happening, and make a conscious decision that no, right now I'm working on this. Your calendar can help, but right now I'm working on this. A lot of the limitations, and people think that you have to limit yourself, is because our society's really used to taking up a lot of brain space with all of this other stuff that isn't pertinent to the moment. That's why we keep talking about mindfulness and presence. People can't do it because when you trigger the stress response, your whole being is looking for threats. You're looking for all the things that can go wrong. And that's what you're focusing on. So you lose time, you lose energy for the things you really want to be able to do. So one of the keys to opening up and not feeling like you have to have a limitation on you is to understand what is actually the limiter inside of you. That can be really, really powerful. So going back to school, um, my master's, my graduate work, I have a student I was coaching this morning in a new graduate program. And the biggest thing I learned was prioritization. I was doing a Master of Music. I was the first woman in orchestral conducting at Michigan. So first woman on the podium there, for symphonies. And I was also doing an MBA, which is kind of insane. And I did 2 positions for the Ann Arbor Symphony. So I was their orchestra manager in charge of personnel and all of the behind the scenes things, not executive director running the business, but directly with the orchestra. And then I was also assistant conductor. So, and somehow I managed to embroider all these little tiny pink tulips on my wedding gown that I made, right? How does somebody do all that? It's about really first not feeling that there's any limitation or anything that could block you from doing it. Like really feeling that you're in control of your life, you're in control of your actions and your calendar. And therefore you get to work on that. You know, if for a student, if your classes are this, or you're working 9, 10 hours, however many hours you're working in your day, like that time is blocked out. Oh, but you have this 1 hour for lunch. What do you want to do then? That's your time. What are you doing afterwards? And if you're tired at the end of the day, that's another thing people think is like, I work so hard and then I'm exhausted. It doesn't need to be that way. Pressure free will set you free. I have so many clients who gain even 4 hours in their day of productive time. They get done their normal workday and they're not tired. They're ready for more. They're ready to do something different or go golf or go swim or bike or, have fun with somebody. And so if you're coming home exhausted from work, that's a clue. Could it be, people, in fact, a lot of people say, oh, that might be the wrong fit for you're in the wrong job. You need to switch your job. And then they switch to another job and it's the same thing. It's typically not that. It's the fact that you're triggering the stress response. And that's the thing that is causing you to be tired. Because once we trigger fight or flight, we exhaust ourselves. Our brain is exhausted. It's not firing correctly. So now all of your work all day long takes longer to do. So when you can stay pressure free and not trigger these hormones, you're capable of so much more, of staying power, of being present, of being in the moment. Stress hormones take you out of all of that. So my idea for you today is to just start to notice limiting language. Like when my guidance counselor would say, well, you can't do it all. And I was like, just watch me. I am going to do it all, right? Or when I read some books and say, whenever you say you can't, you see the words you can't, or it's too hard to try to juggle. Blah, blah, blah. I saw this in the book 10x is equal to 2x. I hit a phrase and I'm like, that's not true. With a pressure free lens over your life, an operating system that's pressure free, that statement isn't true. But most people are operating under the influence of stress hormones, so that seems like a valid statement. So when I read a book, or I read a research report, or whatever it is I'm consuming, it's like I see with the pressure-free lens, okay, what is a fallacy? What isn't true? But because our society is running off of adrenaline right now, it feels true to everybody. But I'm here to just put a stake in the ground and say it doesn't need to be that way. It really doesn't need to be that way. So gently just kind of watch limiting thoughts in your own head, limiting thoughts from others. I mean, a lot of times, especially in the entrepreneurial world, if you're an entrepreneur, you start a business, people say, oh, you're not going to be able to sustain that. That's going to take too much work. Like they'll place so much on your plate or tell you so many things that limit your ability. What makes you think you can do that? Right? Those kinds of thoughts. Um, so watch for those judgments, watch for the judgment within your own head. And with anything that you're consuming, see if you can start to sleuth out limiting patterns, limiting words. If you want to share them with me, that'd be helpful, especially if you're reading a book that a lot of people are reading and you catch one. I would love to see it. So those are my thoughts for you. I'm going to continue my walk here. See what happens with this new show. But I really want to put this, pressure-free lens over the things that I'm seeing in the world. I do it anyway, and I thought, why not share my ideas with you? So I hope it's helpful. Hope you have a great pressure-free day.